Imagine walking into a room full of people, smiling faces, laughter echoing off the walls. You stand among them, yet feel invisible. You've rehearsed your smile. You've silenced your truth. And behind that carefully curated mask is a quiet ache, a storm you've never spoken about. Welcome to The Silent Struggle, addressing mental health challenges in LGBTQ+ lives. In a world that's learning, still slowly, still imperfectly, to embrace diversity, countless LGBTQ+ individuals continue to fight a battle many never see. It's not just about acceptance. It's not just about rights. It's about the deeply personal, deeply human experience of mental health. According to numerous global studies, LGBTQ+ people are significantly more likely to experience anxiety, depression, PTSD, and suicidal ideation compared to their heterosexual and cisgender peers. And yet, the silence surrounding these challenges persists. Rooted in stigma, discrimination, fear, and the exhausting pressure to simply exist in a world that often feels unsafe. But let's take a step back. Why is this happening? What does it mean to grow up hearing that you are as wrong, unnatural, or unworthy? What does it do to your mental well-being when you're told, explicitly or implicitly, that love, identity, or expression must come with conditions? Whether it's the young gay teen grappling with rejection from their family, the transgender adult fighting for medical access and dignity, the bisexual person dismissed as confused, or the non-binary individual constantly misgendered. Each carries a burden often hidden behind resilience. And here's the cruel paradox. While LGBTQ+ communities show extraordinary strength, creativity, and unity, they also suffer disproportionately in silence. The very act of surviving, for many, has become resistance. We're not just here to present statistics or echo trauma. We're here to humanize this struggle. We're here to explore the intersections, how race, class, religion, and geography compound the mental health journey for queer individuals. How the lack of inclusive healthcare, culturally competent therapists, and affirming community spaces deepens the pain. How social media can be both a sanctuary and a battlefield. And most importantly, we're here to spotlight hope. Because amidst the darkness, there are sparks: LGBTQ+ activists, support networks, mental health professionals, and everyday allies who are helping shift the narrative from silence to empowerment. Over the next few segments, you'll hear real stories. You'll learn what systemic change looks like. You'll discover the tools and language needed to become a better advocate for yourself, for your friends, for those who are still in hiding, still afraid, still healing. Mental health is not a luxury. It is not political. It is not a trend. It is a right. And a reality we must urgently address within the LGBTQ+ community. Because behind every statistic is a life worth listening to. Invisible battles, the hidden mental health crisis in LGBTQ+ communities. In the tapestry of human experience, few threads are as complex and deeply woven as those of the LGBTQ+ community. Beneath vibrant colors of pride and celebration, there exists a quiet, often overlooked struggle, a hidden mental health crisis that many live through in silence. These invisible battles are not just about identity, they are about survival, resilience, and the urgent need for understanding. Mental health challenges among LGBTQ+ individuals are significantly higher than in the general population. Studies reveal that rates of anxiety, depression, suicidal ideation, and trauma-related disorders disproportionately affect these communities. But why is this crisis so hidden? The answer lies in a web of societal stigma, internalized fear, and the exhausting effort to conceal one's true self in order to avoid discrimination or harm. For many LGBTQ+ people, mental health struggles begin early in life. A child who senses their difference may hear words of rejection from family or peers, or worse, experience outright hostility. These formative experiences plant seeds of shame and self-doubt. The fear of being outed or misunderstood forces many to mask their feelings, leading to isolation and emotional pain that is invisible to the outside world. Moreover, this crisis is compounded by the lack of culturally competent mental health resources. Many therapists and healthcare providers are unprepared to address the specific needs of LGBTQ+ individuals, leading to misdiagnosis or inadequate care. Fear of discrimination or breach of privacy keeps many from seeking help at all. This creates a vicious cycle where suffering remains hidden and untreated. The invisibility of these struggles often leaves LGBTQ+ individuals feeling alone, even in the midst of supportive communities. The pressure to appear normal or to conform to societal expectations further burdens mental health. Social media and public narratives sometimes paint a picture of LGBTQ+ life that is only about celebration and success, overlooking the daily reality of emotional turmoil many face behind closed doors. Yet, amid these challenges, stories of hope and resilience shine brightly. The strength to endure, to find chosen families, and to create safe spaces where authentic selves are embraced speaks to the indomitable spirit within the community. Mental health advocates, counselors, and activists work tirelessly to break the silence, promoting awareness, education, and inclusive care. Addressing this hidden crisis requires a collective effort. Families can foster unconditional acceptance, schools can implement supportive policies, and healthcare systems must prioritize LGBTQ+ competency. Society at large must confront and dismantle the stigma that forces so many into hiding. The role of family and social rejection, a deep wound. For many LGBTQ+ individuals, the journey to self-acceptance is not only an internal battle, but also a painful struggle with those closest to them, their families and communities. Family and social rejection is more than just a moment of hurt. It leaves a deep, lasting wound that profoundly affects mental health and shapes a person's sense of belonging and worth. Family is often the first and most important source of love and support. When that foundation is shaken by rejection, whether through harsh words, emotional distance, or outright disownment, it cuts deeper than most can imagine. Imagine a young person, full of hopes and fears, stepping forward with their truth, only to be met with silence or hostility from those they depend on most. This experience is tragically common in LGBTQ+ lives and can cause profound feelings of abandonment, shame, and loneliness. Social rejection extends beyond family walls. Friends, peers, religious communities, and even schools can become sources of exclusion and judgment. Every act of rejection chips away at one's confidence and self-worth. It creates an environment where LGBTQ+ individuals feel unsafe to be themselves, forcing many to hide their identities and live in fear of being judged or ostracized. The impact of family and social rejection on mental health cannot be overstated. Studies consistently show that LGBTQ+ people who experience rejection have higher rates of depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and suicidal thoughts. The pain of rejection often translates into a deep internalized stigma, where individuals begin to believe they are unworthy of love or respect. This internal conflict can be a heavy burden to carry, often in silence. However, it is crucial to understand that rejection is not the fault of the person being rejected. It reflects the fears, biases, or misunderstandings of others, not the truth of someone's identity or value. Healing begins when families and communities recognize the harm their rejection causes and choose to offer acceptance and love instead. There are countless stories of families who, after initial rejection, come to embrace their LGBTQ+ loved ones with open hearts. These moments of reconciliation bring immense relief and joy and demonstrate the transformative power of acceptance. Supportive families and communities act as lifelines, fostering resilience and helping LGBTQ+ individuals thrive. Ultimately, addressing the deep wounds of rejection requires a cultural shift. It calls for education, empathy, and courageous conversations within families and social circles. Encouraging open dialogue, affirming identities, and offering unconditional love can change lives. No one should suffer the pain of rejection from those who are supposed to love them unconditionally. The deep wounds caused by family and social rejection can heal, but only when acceptance replaces silence and love overcomes fear. Intersectionality matters. How race, class, and geography shape mental health. Mental health is a deeply personal experience, yet it is profoundly shaped by the larger world around us. For LGBTQ+ individuals, this truth is even more complex because mental health struggles do not exist in isolation. They are intricately intertwined with other facets of identity, such as race, class, and geography, making the fight for wellness far more complicated. This is the essence of intersectionality, understanding how overlapping identities create unique challenges and shape the mental health journey in profound ways. Imagine an LGBTQ+ person living in a low-income neighborhood with limited access to healthcare. Now imagine that person is also a person of color, navigating not only societal homophobia or transphobia, but also systemic racism and economic hardship. The weight of these compounded pressures can feel unbearable, yet it is the reality for many. Race, class, and geography do not simply add layers of difficulty. They multiply the effects of discrimination and barriers to care, deepening the mental health crisis within marginalized communities. Race plays a critical role in mental health disparities among LGBTQ+ individuals. People of color often face both racial discrimination and anti-LGBTQ+ stigma, leading to what many describe as a double minority stress. This chronic stress can manifest as anxiety, depression, and trauma, yet these individuals are also less likely to receive culturally competent mental health services. Historical mistrust of medical systems, language barriers, and a lack of representation among healthcare providers contribute to this gap, leaving many without the support they desperately need. Class further complicates the picture. Economic instability can limit access to mental health resources, healthy environments, and community support. When basic survival becomes the primary focus, mental health often takes a back seat. LGBTQ+ people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds face the cruel irony of being among the most vulnerable, but least able to afford or access effective care. Additionally, financial strain can intensify feelings of isolation and hopelessness. Geography is another powerful factor. LGBTQ+ individuals living in rural or conservative areas often experience heightened isolation, discrimination, and lack of affirming resources. In some places, even basic acceptance is a distant dream. Without local support groups, LGBTQ+ friendly healthcare, or inclusive education, mental health struggles can worsen in silence. Conversely, urban centers might offer more resources, but can also come with their own unique pressures, such as housing insecurity or community fragmentation. Understanding intersectionality means recognizing that mental health solutions must be equally multifaceted. Barriers to care: why mental health services often fail LGBTQ+ individuals. Mental health is a vital part of well-being, yet for many LGBTQ+ individuals, accessing effective mental health care remains an uphill battle. Despite facing higher rates of depression, anxiety, trauma, and suicidal thoughts, LGBTQ+ people often find mental health services inadequate, unwelcoming, or even harmful. The barriers they face go beyond mere availability of care. They are rooted in systemic gaps, bias, and a profound lack of understanding, creating a painful divide between need and support. One of the most significant barriers is the lack of culturally competent care. Many mental health professionals have limited training or experience working with LGBTQ+ clients, leading to misdiagnosis, misunderstanding, or invalidation. Imagine a transgender person seeking therapy only to be met with ignorance or outright dismissal of their gender identity. Or a queer individual struggling with depression who is told their feelings are just a phase or linked solely to their sexuality, rather than treated with nuance and respect. This lack of affirming care can be re-traumatizing and deter individuals from seeking further help. Another barrier is the fear of discrimination or outing. Many LGBTQ+ people worry that seeking mental health care will expose them to judgment, breaches of confidentiality, or even hostile treatment. In some cases, this fear is justified, as there have been reports of therapists imposing harmful conversion practices or refusing to acknowledge non-cisnormative identities. This fear creates a silence where pain festers alone, worsening mental health instead of healing it. Economic and insurance challenges also play a crucial role. LGBTQ+ individuals, particularly those from marginalized racial or economic backgrounds, often face financial instability, lack of insurance coverage, or restrictions on what types of therapy are covered. Even when care is available, the costs can be prohibitive, forcing many to choose between mental health and other essential needs. For transgender people, accessing gender-affirming care, which is crucial for mental well-being, can be especially expensive and difficult to obtain through insurance. Geographical barriers exacerbate the problem. In many rural or conservative areas, LGBTQ+ affirming therapists and support resources are scarce or non-existent. The isolation felt in these communities magnifies mental health struggles and leaves individuals without local options for care. While teletherapy has opened some doors, access to reliable internet and privacy can still be limiting factors. Perhaps one of the most heartbreaking barriers is the lack of trust. After years of experiencing stigma, discrimination, and even violence, many LGBTQ+ people approach mental health care with caution and skepticism. Hope and healing, building resilience and community for mental wellness. In the face of adversity, the human spirit has an extraordinary capacity to endure, heal, and grow. For many LGBTQ+ individuals, navigating mental health challenges is a journey marked not only by struggle, but by immense hope and the power of community. The path to wellness is often paved with resilience, a strength born from lived experience, and the nurturing embrace of connections that affirm and uplift. In these spaces of hope and healing, mental wellness becomes not just a possibility, but a vibrant reality. Resilience is more than simply bouncing back. It is the quiet, courageous act of continuing forward despite pain, rejection, or isolation. LGBTQ+ people develop resilience in countless ways, through forging chosen families when biological ones reject them, through activism that transforms pain into purpose, and through self-acceptance that refuses to be silenced by societal stigma. This resilience is a testament to the enduring light within each person, a beacon guiding them toward healing. But resilience alone is not enough. Healing flourishes best within community, spaces where individuals feel safe, seen, and supported. For many LGBTQ+ people, finding or creating such communities can be life-changing. These can be peer support groups, online forums, affirming therapy circles, or local LGBTQ+ centers. In these places, stories are shared, struggles validated, and joys celebrated. This sense of belonging combats loneliness, a powerful contributor to mental health challenges, and replaces it with solidarity and understanding. Building community also means addressing the systemic barriers that isolate LGBTQ+ individuals. Mental wellness initiatives that prioritize inclusivity, cultural competence, and accessibility are vital. Programs led by LGBTQ+ individuals themselves hold special power. They bring lived experience and empathy that resonate deeply, fostering trust and empowerment. When people see themselves reflected in the helpers and leaders around them, hope grows stronger. Moreover, hope and healing are nurtured by visibility and representation. Celebrating diverse LGBTQ+ stories in media, education, and policy helps dismantle harmful stereotypes and creates a culture of acceptance. This cultural shift reduces stigma, allowing more people to seek help without fear. It tells those struggling that they are not alone and that their mental wellness matters. It is important to recognize that building resilience and community is an ongoing process, not a destination. Mental health will have its ups and downs, and the road to healing may include setbacks. But with compassionate communities and a foundation of inner strength, these challenges become surmountable. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory. We've come to the end of this episode, but the conversation is far from over. What we've explored today is just the surface of a vast, often unspoken landscape, the mental health realities faced by LGBTQ+ people in a world that doesn't always see them clearly or treat them kindly. If anything resonated with you, whether it was a statistic, a story, or just a feeling, hold on to it. Sit with it. Let it move you. Because empathy is not passive, it's a catalyst for change. Whether you're part of the LGBTQ+ community or an ally, your role in this dialogue matters. It matters in how we check on our friends, how we challenge harmful language, how we vote, how we advocate for inclusive healthcare, and how we show up not just in Pride Month, but every single day. Remember, no one should ever have to navigate their identity and mental health alone. So if you're struggling, please reach out. There are safe spaces. There are people who understand. There are therapists, hotlines, online communities, and affirming professionals who want to help you heal. And if you're listening as someone who wants to be part of the solution, educate yourself. Listen deeply. Speak up when it's uncomfortable. Stand up when it's inconvenient. Visibility saves lives. Compassion saves lives. And action? Action changes lives. To every LGBTQ+ person listening right now, know this. Your existence is not up for debate. Your identity is not a burden. And your mental health is not something to be ashamed of. You deserve peace. You deserve joy. You deserve to be here. Thank you for joining us for The Silent Struggle, addressing mental health challenges in LGBTQ+ lives. If this episode spoke to you, share it. Start a conversation. Be the reason someone else feels seen, safe, and supported today. Until next time, stay kind, stay strong, and above all, stay unapologetically you.